Hey man, just like all my sports content is always available on YouTube, all of my music is available on all streaming platforms as well. So y'all make sure y'all support the creator. Alright?
Watch when I drop this Taylor Bay, telling everybody pay me more. And I got a couple bands on me right now, I ain't gonna say no more. She fucked me in the studio cause I could make a chorus. See niggas and they feelings though, what the fuck you hate for?
In the hours before the 2019 NFL Draft, nearly 80% of all Lions fans thought that with the first pick, the Lions would finally draft a premier pass rusher to fill the hole Ziggy Ansah left wide open in our pass rush. When asked, most Lions fans thought the team would either draft Josh Allen, now in Jacksonville, Ed Oliver, who ended up going to Buffalo, or Brian Burns, who was with the Carolina Panthers. When 3 rounds came and went without a pass rusher, fans began to express displeasure in chat forums. But in the 4th round, the entire fan base took a collective sigh of relief as the Lions drafted Austin Bryant from the national champion Clemson Tigers. Bob Quinn had done it again, we thought. An incredible steal in the 4th round. A sure 2nd or 3rd round pick if not for a torn pectoral that he purposely played through and chose not to nurse in college. A true testament to his commitment to winning and accomplishing his national championship goals. But unfortunately, his sacrifice in college cost him 3/4 of his rookie season after he tweaked his pec in training camp and he rested on IR until week 11 and sat out weeks 12 and 13 as well. He did play 3 straight to end the year, weeks 14 through 16, seeing most playing time week 16 against the Packers, where he played 54 defensive snaps, which was about 61% of the total for that game. He didn't record a single sack in the 4 games, and he finished with 1 QB hit and 8 tackles. But again, the entire defensive line was banged up at this point, and I don't think it's a true indication of Bryant's future success or lack thereof. I just look at it as him getting his feet wet. And it's clear the Lions have plans for him in some sort because of the extreme caution in which they handled him with. I mean, shit, Matthew Stafford played with a broken back, you know what I'm saying? But why? I guess the more pessimistic Lions fans will argue that Bryant is just a 4th round pick that has injury issues. They believe the Lions should have drafted a pass rusher in 2020 as well. So for those people, I'll provide a little insight. First is understanding the type of player that Bryant is. What are his strengths? His best trait is his edge play. He's big, he has really long arms, forces to run inside, wraps up, and tackles well. He's extremely tough. He's a super high character dude. What are his weaknesses? Well, he isn't super elite as a pass rusher. I don't think he has a ton of pass rush moves at the line of scrimmage, but I am nitpicking right here because Bryant has 17 sacks his last 2 seasons combined. His teammate, Clelin Ferrell, who went number 4 overall, had 21 over that same 2-year span. So I'm not really saying his weaknesses, quote unquote, are actually a weakness at all. It's just where he'll probably need the most development. Or maybe, just maybe, had it not been for Austin Bryant playing half the year with a whole torn pectoral, he would have had double the amount of sacks. If he was healthy, probably would have doubled his entire production. We will never know. But since we are speculating, let's look at one reason the Lions opted out of drafting an edge player in 2020 before taking Okwara, who could either directly compete with Bryant for the jack linebacker position or could play an entirely different position altogether. First, let's compare 4th round Austin Bryant to 3rd round Julian Okwara's production. Austin Bryant had 4 years of production, tallied 130 tackles, 37 tackles for loss, 21 sacks, 1 interception, and 2 forced fumbles. Julian Okwara, who everybody thought was a steal in the 3rd round, had 4 years of production, but only put up 79 tackles, 24 tackles for loss, 15.5 sacks, 2 interceptions, 4 forced fumbles. So you heard me right. Austin Bryant had 51 more tackles, 13 more tackles for loss, and 5.5 more sacks than Julian Okwara. But let's not stop there. Excluding the obviously better players like Chase Young and Derrick Brown, Let's look at a couple of guys from the 2020 draft that Lions fans wanted to draft. At number 14 overall, there was Javon Kenlaw. Now, he's an interior player, but Austin can play the interior as well. Javon Kenlaw had 3 years of production, 82 tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 10 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. So again, you heard me correct. The number 14 overall pick in the NFL draft had 48 less tackles, 7 less tackles for loss, and a whole 14 less sacks than your 4th round pick, Austin Bryant. So when you see Bob Quinn quietly nodding his head, smiling as he passes over all these overrated defensive linemen, it's because he is banking on his investment. Let's do one more for clarification. Out of Penn State, there was Yetur Gross-Matos. A lot of Lions fans really wanted us to take him. He had 3 years of production, where he put up 111 tackles, 36.5 tackles for loss, and 18.5 sacks. While Matos had less overall production than Bryant, I'll be fair and admit he has solid numbers. And one can argue that with a 4th season, he would have greater overall production than Austin Bryant. So to be fair, let's just compare the seasons that matter. The junior and senior years. Austin Bryant had 95 tackles, 30.5 tackles for loss, 17 sacks, an interception, and 2 forced fumbles. Yetur Gross-Matos had 94 tackles, 34.5 tackles for loss, 17 sacks, and no interceptions or forced fumbles. And boom, when you compare the numbers of why each, the answer is clear as day. Why Quinn passed on Matos and hell, probably didn't even have him on his draft board that early in the 2nd round. Very, very similar production between the two players, almost identical production. But when you add in the fact that one guy was drafted in the 4th round and one guy was drafted in the 2nd round, I mean, it just kind of make you scratch your head. Then you add in one guy was relatively healthy and one guy played with a torn pectoral. And they really, are they really similar? Or does Austin Bryant have another level that he can tap into? My guess is Quinn and Patricia are banking on the latter. You see, people, the point is very simple. Austin Bryant would have been a 1st round pick in 2020. If production is the matter at hand, at least. But the question we must ask ourselves is, does that mean Austin Bryant is that good? Or does it mean that the 2020 class was that bad? Unfortunately for us, Bryant tweaked that pec and missed nearly all the year. So plainly put, we don't know. But I'm comfortable with Bob Quinn and the National Scouts' assessment of Austin Bryant, and wasting a high draft pick on a player that will have to compete directly with him, a 4th round pick with less production, would be almost laughable, if not extremely redundant. So using those picks instead on Jeff Okudah and DeAndre Swift was the better move for the future of the team. Taking Julian Okwara was insurance in case his assessment is wrong, or worse, Bryant suffers another injury and misses more time. Quinn still looks like the smartest guy in the room when his fallback plan is a 3rd round kid with tremendous size and versatility, whom scouts saw as a 1st or 2nd round guy, if not for an injury he suffered himself. If Quinn somehow strikes gold in Julian Okwara and Austin Bryant, he may start to be recognized across the league for his scouting and drafting abilities. And guess what? If the season goes bad, he and Patricia get fired, Bob Quinn still lands comfortably on a playoff team, doing what he does best anyway, scouting. Another win-win for Bob Quinn. But it starts with Austin Bryant. Year 2 for him is basically a 2nd chance of the rookie season. There's very little tape on him, and the tape that's around shows a rusty kid who sat for 11 weeks and is playing with a tender pec. Whatever tricks and technique he's added to his arsenal isn't on tape, and he should use that to his advantage. He has an opportunity to make a statement on the team this year, and that is why the Detroit Lions pass on pass rushers. Part 1. But make sure to stay tuned for Part 2 because it gets deeper. If you like the music featured in this video, check the bio for links to DerGoMobby on iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. If you'd like to donate to this channel, catch a live video and drop a super chat, or directly donate via Cash App and PayPal links, also located in the bio below. As always, like and subscribe for more content, and we just now getting litty.
Watch when I drop this tango, babe. Telling everybody pay me more. And I got a couple bands on me right now. I ain't gonna say no more. She